Welcome to Stories by Ricardo. Here, we don't just tell stories, we bring real emotions to life. Each tale you hear is packed with lessons, heartbreak, redemption, and unforgettable moments. So relax, open your heart, and let today's story take you on a journey you'll never forget. Amara's 28th birthday was a warm, breezy evening in Lagos, the city lights twinkling like festive fireflies outside her apartment window. In her cozy living room, a few close friends gathered around a small cake frosted in rich buttercream, singing happy birthday, in a blend of English and Yoruba. Laughter and the aroma of spicy jollof rice filled the air as Amara, a kind-hearted and successful young fashion designer, beamed with joy. Dressed in one of her own vibrant Ankara print creations, she looked every bit the radiant celebrant, unaware that this night of celebration would mark the beginning of her darkest days. By Amara's side stood her fiancé Tunde, who lovingly draped an arm around her shoulders as she prepared to blow out the candles. Also present was Kemi, Amara's childhood friend, clutching a wrapped gift with an excited grin. Kemi and Amara had grown up like sisters on the same quiet street, sharing everything from school books to secret dreams. Now in adulthood, their paths had taken different directions. Amara's fashion business was thriving, and her wedding was only a few months away, while Kemi was still searching for her own breakthrough, dabbling in a small catering venture that had yet to flourish. Yet tonight, nothing seemed amiss between them as they exchanged warm smiles. But beneath Kemi's cheerful facade flickered a shadow of envy, hidden so well that no one noticed. After the candles were blown out and cheers subsided, Kemi stepped forward with her present. "Happy birthday, dear," she said, her voice syrupy sweet as she handed Amara a long velvet box. Inside was a stunning necklace, a delicate gold chain with an antique pendant etched with intricate patterns. Gasps of admiration filled the room as Amara lifted the necklace into the light. The pendant was shaped like a small coiled serpent with two tiny emerald stones for eyes that seemed almost alive. Kemi gently took the necklace and clasped it around Amara's neck, explaining that she had found it at a quaint antique stall in another town and thought it as unique and beautiful as her friend. Amara was touched by the gesture and by the necklace's enchanting beauty. "Thank you so much, Kemi. It's gorgeous. I'll cherish it," she exclaimed, wrapping her friend in a warm hug. As the evening wore on, Amara kept absent-mindedly fingering the pendant, feeling grateful for a friend like Kemi. She never noticed the brief, distant look in Kemi's eyes as Kemi watched her with the necklace, a look almost like secret satisfaction. Unknown to Amara, the gift now resting against her chest carried a darkness that would soon engulf her life. Late that night, after the small party ended and everyone had left, Amara lay in bed with the new necklace still resting around her neck. She felt unusually restless. The air in her bedroom was thick and still, and even the distant hum of Lagos traffic seemed muffled. Eventually, she drifted into a fitful sleep and into a strange dream. In the dream, she found herself standing on a deserted village road under a moonless sky. Far off in the darkness, someone was softly calling her name. "Amara, Amara." The voice was familiar yet distorted. She followed the voice down the dusty road, heart pounding. Suddenly, the ground beneath her feet turned to squirming snakes. She looked down to see countless serpents slithering around her ankles. One of them, with emerald green eyes like the pendant, coiled itself tightly around her leg and began to climb upward. Amara tried to scream, but no sound came out as the snake tightened around her neck. Amara jolted awake, gasping for air. Her room was dark and silent except for her own heaving breaths. A faint sheen of sweat covered her skin. She sat up and clutched her neck. The necklace was still there, cool to the touch despite the warmth of her body. "Just a nightmare," she whispered shakily to herself. But no nightmare had ever felt so real or left her this shaken. It took a long while for her racing heart to calm. Eventually, she drifted back to sleep with the bedside lamp on, the unsettling dream still slithering at the back of her mind. Shaking off the rough morning, Amara tried to focus on her work, but things kept going wrong. She pricked her finger badly with a sewing needle, something that hardly ever happened to her steady hands. A delivery of expensive lace fabric for a high-profile order arrived damaged and unusable. Even the electricity in her shop mysteriously cut out for an hour, forcing her to work in the semi-darkness and stifling heat. Each incident was minor by itself, but strung together they left her anxious and on edge. That evening, seeking comfort, Amara met with Tundi for dinner at a local restaurant. She recounted her frustrating day, hoping for a reassuring word. But to her surprise, Tunda seemed distracted and irritable himself. When she mentioned the lost clients, he snapped, "Maybe if you didn't spend so much time on trivial design details, you wouldn't be late." Amara blinked in hurt and disbelief at the unusually harsh tone. "Where is this coming from?" she protested. In response, Tunde launched into a complaint that she was always busy with work and neglecting their wedding plans. His words were sharp, almost accusing. The discussion quickly escalated into a heated argument over dinner. Amara's eyes welled with tears as she listened to her fiancé say things that cut into her. He had never spoken to her so callously before. She left the restaurant in turmoil, the food barely touched. That night, Amara cried in her car outside her apartment, replaying the fight in her mind. It felt as if a cruel wind had blown into her life, sowing discord where there had been love. She eventually fell into a restless sleep, only to be tormented by more nightmares. This time she dreamed she was wandering through her boutique in complete darkness. One by one, her beautiful dresses on the racks turned to rags and ashes as she touched them. She heard a woman's faint laughter echoing around her, a laugh that strangely resembled Kemi's. Amara woke up with a scream, trembling in her sheets. It was 3 a.m., and she felt utterly alone and afraid. Over the next several days, Amara's sunshine spirit continued to dim. She woke up each morning bone-tired, no matter how early she went to bed. Her usual appetite was gone. Even her favorite breakfast of akara, bean cakes, tasted like dust in her mouth. At the boutique, her employees noticed that their normally cheerful boss had become snappish and sullen. Amara herself realized she was smiling less and less. A heaviness clung to her that she couldn't explain. The string of bad luck did not let up. One afternoon, a longtime customer came for a final fitting of her wedding dress, a dress Amara had poured her heart into creating. To Amara's horror, the customer found an ugly tear right across the front of the gown's fabric. Amara didn't understand how it could have happened. It was perfectly intact the night before. The client left in tears and anger, demanding a refund. After closing up the shop early, Amara broke down sobbing, surrounded by the vibrant dresses and suits that suddenly felt like ghostly silhouettes watching her fail. Kemi continued to call and visit, always with a sympathetic smile. Each time, Amara put on a brave face and downplayed her troubles, but Kemi's probing questions made it hard to hide that something was wrong. One evening, Kemi stopped by Amara's apartment with some takeout food. They sat on the couch picking at fried plantains and stew as Amara admitted she hadn't been sleeping well. "I keep having these terrible dreams," Amara confided softly, eyes downcast. "And my business, I've been losing customers. Even Tunde and I have been arguing so much." She sighed heavily. The next morning, Amara woke feeling exhausted, as if she hadn't rested at all. She hurried to her boutique, running late for the first time in months. Her head throbbed with a dull ache. To her dismay, 2 important clients were already waiting outside, checking their watches with irritation. Normally, her clients were patient and understanding, but today these women were unusually annoyed. They scolded Amara for being unprofessional and left angrily, canceling their appointments altogether. Amara watched them go, stunned. She prided herself on her excellent service and had never seen these loyal clients so upset over a small delay. One afternoon, as Amara was showing an intern how to cut a fabric pattern, a sudden wave of dizziness washed over her. Her vision blurred and her ears rang. She tried to steady herself against a table, but her legs gave out. The intern shouted in alarm as Amara crumpled to the ground, unconscious. When Amara opened her eyes, she found herself in a hospital bed with an IV drip in her arm. Her mother sat at her bedside, and Tundi hovered nearby with worry etched on his face. Amara managed a faint smile to reassure them, but she felt weak as a newborn. The doctor came in and lectured that stress and exhaustion had taken a toll on her, insisting she needed rest and care. Amara knew it was more than just overwork that had caused her collapse, but she hadn't the strength to explain. Kemi visited the hospital that evening as well, bringing a flask of hot pepper soup to help you regain your strength. She fussed over Amara, adjusting her pillows and urging her to eat. Though Kemi's gestures seemed thoughtful, Amara noticed something disturbing. When Kemi thought no one was looking, her expression wasn't concerned at all. It was smug. It happened only for an instant, but Amara saw it clearly. A tiny, satisfied smile as Kemi's eyes flicked to the necklace resting on Amara's collarbone. A chill ran through Amara despite the warm soup. Could Kemi possibly have anything to do with her misery? Immediately, she felt guilty for even thinking such a thing. This was her best friend, practically family. Amara tried to push the dark suspicion away. Amara managed a weak smile and nodded. She appreciated Kemi's attempt to comfort her. After Kemi left that night, however, Amara noticed that whenever her friend mentioned the necklace, a strange chill ran over her skin. Dismissing it as imagination, she took a hot shower trying to wash away her anxiety. As she looked at herself in the bathroom mirror afterward, she caught a glimpse of something unsettling. For a split second, it almost looked like the reflection of the necklace on her neck flickered, as if the snake pendant had twitched. She yelped and whirled around, but of course, she was alone and the necklace lay still. Amara's hands shook as she removed it for the first time in days, rubbing the back of her neck, which ached dully. She decided to leave the necklace off for the night and placed it on her bedside table. She slept that night without the necklace, hoping it might ease her mind. But her sleep was still broken by chaotic dreams, visions of a faceless figure chasing her through an empty marketplace, thunder clapping in a cloudless sky, and that hissing voice calling her name. When morning came, Amara felt just as drained. Inexplicably, she found herself clasping the necklace around her neck again out of habit, as if drawn to it despite everything. It now hung against her chest like a silent witness to her suffering. After 2 nights, Amara was discharged from the hospital. Back at home, her mother insisted she come stay at the family house for a while so they could take better care of her. Amara agreed, hoping that time with her parents and the blanket of their prayers would chase away whatever evil loomed over her life. Her family were alarmed by how exhausted and sad she had become. They prayed with her every morning and night and took her to church for special blessings. For a short while, Amara felt some comfort and strength returning under their protection. However, once she returned to her normal routine, the troubles resumed with even greater intensity. One morning at the boutique, an expensive gown caught fire mysteriously on its hanger, nearly burning down the shop. The cause was never found. It was blamed on an electrical fault, though no wiring was near that dress. Another night, as Amara was drifting off to sleep in her apartment, she felt a weight press on her chest. She opened her eyes but couldn't move her body. It was as if invisible hands pinned her down. In the corner of the dark bedroom, she saw a tall, thin, shadowy figure watching her. Its eyes glowed faintly green. Amara tried to scream, to pray, but no sound came. Just as suddenly, the pressure lifted and the shadow vanished, leaving her whimpering and drenched in sweat. These were not mere nightmares. She was being attacked by something unnatural. Amara knew then she needed serious help beyond what modern medicine, or even her pastor, had provided. The idea that her beloved birthday gift was the conduit of this evil could no longer be ignored. She remembered Mama Epha, the herbalist in the street market known for her spiritual insight. Gathering her courage, Amara sought her out at the bustling market on a hot afternoon. She found Mama Epha at her usual spot under a canopy, selling roots and dried leaves. The old woman took one look at Amara's tired face and the pendant glinting at her throat, and motioned her to come forward. "Child," Mama Epha said in a low voice, "I felt a dark aura as soon as you entered this market. It surrounds you." Tears sprang to Amara's eyes as she quickly told the old woman everything: the gift from Kemi, The nightmares, the fights, the endless misfortunes. Mama Epha listened intently, nodding slowly. "You are right to come," Mama Epha said gravely. "This is indeed a spiritual attack. A cursed object is in your possession. That necklace." Amara looked down at the pendant, heart pounding. Hearing her worst fear confirmed made her swallow hard. "Who would do this to me?" she whispered. Mama Eve's face was sad as she replied, "Sometimes, my dear, the person who wishes us ill sits at our own table. Envy is a powerful poison." Amara cringed, thinking of Kemi. As painful as it was to accept, all signs pointed to her friend. She recalled every strange look and comment from Kemi in the past weeks, and they all made horrible sense now. Her best friend had betrayed her. Mama Epha patted Amara's hand kindly. "We will break this curse and send it back, but you must be ready. It will not go easily." Amara straightened and nodded, determination mingling with fear. "I'm ready," she said. That evening, Amara went to Mama Eve's home, a small clay-walled house lit by oil lamps. In the center of the main room, the old woman had prepared a ritual space. A mat woven with strange symbols lay on the floor, surrounded by white chalk markings and candles placed around its edges. The air was thick with incense and the earthy scent of herbs. At Mama Eve's instruction, Amara knelt on the mat. The old woman slowly circled her, waving a bundle of burning sage around Amara's body. "We must cleanse your spirit first," she murmured. Amara closed her eyes as the aromatic smoke wafted over her, feeling a little of the heavy tension ease from her shoulders. Then Mama Epha sat in front of Amara with a wooden bowl of water between them. She poured in some coarse salt and red palm oil, which floated in reddish globs on the surface. Next came a sprinkle of a red herbal powder, turning the water cloudy. Finally, she held out her wrinkled hand. "Give me the necklace, child." Hands shaking, Amara unclasped the chain. It felt heavier than ever. With a deep breath, she placed the necklace into Mama Epha's palm. The old woman dropped it into the bowl of water. Instantly, the water began to hiss and bubble. The red oil on the surface swirled violently as if stirred by an invisible force. Mama Eve closed her eyes and started to chant in a low, ancient language. The candles flickered, although no breeze blew. Amara watched the bowl intently. The water, which had turned murky, now began to clear again. But the surface was no longer just reflecting the room. It showed moving images. Amara could see Kemi's face in the water, clear as day. Kemi was standing in a small, smoky shrine, handing the necklace to a hunched old man with tribal scars on his face. Amara's heart clenched. She recognized the look in Kemi's eyes, a mix of desperation and resentment. The old man smeared something onto the necklace and spoke over it while passing a white chicken feather across it. Then he nodded and handed the necklace back to Kemi, who smiled with grim satisfaction. As the vision unfolded, tears rolled down Amara's cheeks. Any doubt she had about Kemi's intentions was gone. Her dear friend had plotted to ruin her happiness. Suddenly, the image in the bowl clouded over and the water turned inky black. The bowl began to tremble in Mama Eve's hands. A low hiss emanated from it, growing louder. Mama Eve's eyes snapped open. "Stand back," she warned. Amara scrambled off the mat, heart pounding. With a splash, something leapt from the bowl, a dark form hurtling into the air. It was the shadowy shape of a snake, made of swirling black water and smoke. It writhed above the bowl, droplets of blackish water splattering onto the floor. Its emerald eyes blazed with anger as it fixed on Amara. The cursed spirit had been drawn out of the necklace, and it was furious. The snake hissed and lunged at Amara, but it struck an invisible wall at the edge of the chalk circle. Mama Eve's protective markings held firm, flaring white where the dark creature hit them. The snake recoiled, slithering in the air, seeking another path to its target. Mama Eve sprang into action. She grabbed a small leather talisman from her altar and hurled it at the writhing apparition. There was a blinding flash of light and a crack like thunder. The shadow snake let out an ear-splitting, unearthly shriek that made the windows rattle. Amara realized she had been holding her breath. She exhaled and collapsed to her knees, sobbing in relief and exhaustion. Mama Epha lit a lamp with trembling hands and hurried to Amara's side, wrapping the young woman in a comforting embrace. "It is finished," Mama Epha whispered, gently rocking her. "The curse is broken, my child." Amara clung to the wise old woman, tears of gratitude and heartbreak streaming down her face. Thank you," she gasped between sobs. Her entire body felt weak, but the oppressive weight that had burdened her for weeks was already lifting. After Amara had calmed a bit, she and Mama Epha cleaned up the remnants of the ritual. The gold necklace was now nothing but pieces. The serpent pendant split in two, the emerald stones cracked and dull. They gathered the shards into a small clay pot. Mama Epha would later bury them far outside the town to ensure no lingering evil could harm anyone again. In that moment, Mama Epha thrust her hand into the bowl and fished out the physical necklace. The pendant writhed like a live thing in her grip, its emerald eyes glowing malevolently. With a fierce cry, the old woman flung the necklace onto the floor outside the circle. She snatched up her heavy wooden pestle, used for grinding herbs, and brought it crashing down on the serpent pendant with all her might. There was a loud crack as the pendant shattered. A terrifying scream filled the room, then abruptly died out as the shadow creature dissolved into wisps of smoke. The dark smoke evaporated into the ceiling, and the candles all snuffed out at once, plunging the room into near darkness. Only the faint glow of the moon through the window remained. Amara realized she had been holding her breath. She exhaled and collapsed to her knees, sobbing in relief and exhaustion. Mama Epha lit a lamp with trembling hands and hurried to Amara's side, wrapping the young woman in a comforting embrace. "It is finished," Mama Epha whispered, gently rocking her. "The curse is broken, my child." Amara clung to the wise old woman, tears of gratitude and heartbreak streaming down her face. Thank you," she gasped between sobs. Her entire body felt weak, but the oppressive weight that had burdened her for weeks was already lifting. After Amara had calmed a bit, she and Mama Epha cleaned up the remnants of the ritual. The gold necklace was now nothing but pieces. The serpent pendant split in two, the emerald stones cracked and dull. They gathered the shards into a small clay pot. Mama Epha would later bury them far outside the town to ensure no lingering evil could harm anyone again. As they worked, Mama Epha spoke softly. "The spirit bound to the necklace has been vanquished and the curse lifted. The evil will return to the one who sent it. Such is the law of our people. The stone that a person throws up will fall back on their own head." That night, across town, Kemi awoke in her bed with a strangled cry. She felt a burning pain around her neck, as though invisible hands were squeezing her throat. Bolting upright, she gasped for air. In the corner of her dark bedroom, something moved. Kemi's eyes widened in terror as a shadow slid up the wall and across the ceiling. Two pinpoints of green light flared from that darkness, staring straight at her. A sibilant hiss filled the room. Kemi screamed and stumbled out of bed, crashing to the floor as the shadowy shape seemed to swoop toward her. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the presence vanished, leaving Kemi shaking in the cold sweat of fear. By morning, Kemi was running a high fever and felt utterly drained. In the days that followed, Kemi fell mysteriously ill. She grew thin and frail, plagued by constant fear. It was said that all of a sudden, her remaining catering clients canceled their contracts and her little business collapsed. Neighbors whispered that at night, they heard Kemi wailing and shouting in her apartment, babbling about snakes and shadows. The evil she had unleashed was now hounding her relentlessly. The curse, unable to consume Amara, had returned to devour its creator. Meanwhile, Amara's recovery was almost miraculous. The very next morning after the ritual, she awoke at dawn feeling truly rested and light, as though a great cloud had lifted from her life. For the first time in months, she greeted the rising sun with a genuine smile and thanked God and her ancestors for a new day. When Amara opened her boutique, she was greeted by welcome surprises. Two of the clients who had abandoned her weeks earlier came by, apologizing for their sudden disappearance and asking if she could still design outfits for them. They claimed they couldn't find anyone as good as her. New customers also trickled in, saying they had heard about a talented designer in the neighborhood and wanted to see her work. Amara found herself busy in the best way. her inspiration and love for her craft flowing back stronger than ever. Even her relationship with Tunde mended swiftly. He visited her that afternoon, holding a bouquet of her favorite white roses and wearing a remorseful smile. "Amara, I'm sorry," he said softly, taking her hands in his. "I haven't been myself lately. I was so stressed about work and I took it out on you. Can you forgive me?" Tears of joy gathered in Amara's eyes as she listened. She hugged him tightly, heart brimming with gratitude. The strange wedge that had come between them was gone. They were laughing together again, making plans for their wedding with renewed excitement. Tunde marveled at how radiant and cheerful Amara was acting. "It's like I got my girl back," he said, kissing her forehead. Amara explained some of what had happened to Tunde, although she left out the darkest details of Kemi's involvement. She told him that the necklace she'd been given was cursed by someone envious of her, and that an elder had helped her break the curse. Tunde, initially astonished and skeptical, realized there was no other way to make sense of the turmoil they'd gone through. In the end, he was simply thankful that Amara was safe and happy again. They agreed to put the past weeks behind them and focus on their future. One evening, about a week later, just as the sky turned golden with sunset, Amara was closing up the boutique. Under the streetlights, Kemi approached, but she looked nothing like the confident friend Amara once knew. Her shoulders were slumped and she moved hesitantly, as if weighed down by guilt. Amara froze upon seeing her, emotions swirling, anger, betrayal, hurt, and a pinch of pity. Kemi's lips quivered as she tried to speak, but instead she burst into tears and fell to her knees on the sidewalk. "Amara, please, I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I did a terrible thing to you. You have every right to hate me. I was blinded by jealousy. I thought I was losing my best friend and I was so envious of everything you had. I went to that sorcerer. I got that evil necklace. I never imagined it would go so far. I swear I never wanted you to die or anything. I don't know what I wanted. I was so foolish." Kemi covered her face, crying into her palms. "Now it's all coming back at me. I haven't slept, I haven't eaten. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I'm already paying for what I did. Please, please forgive me somehow. I was jealous," Kemi stammered, tears streaming. "You have everything, Amara, talent, success, love. I felt left behind. It was a moment of weakness and madness. I thought if your life wasn't so perfect, maybe I wouldn't feel so miserable about mine. It was a horrible thing to do. I regret it more than anything." She sobbed, reaching for Amara's hands. "I am sorry. I am so sorry." Tears welled up in Amara's own eyes as she listened to Kemi's broken confession. This was the friend she had loved like a sister, the friend she'd laughed and shared secrets with since they were little girls. It was almost unthinkable that Kemi could hurt her so deeply. Amara's heart ached with the weight of that betrayal and with sorrow for the shattered person wailing in front of her. Gently, Amara knelt down and helped Kemi to her feet. Kemi was trembling violently, her once bright eyes dull and desperate. "Kemi," Amara said quietly, steadying her. "I trusted you. I would have given you anything you needed if you had just talked to me. Why would you do this to me?" Her voice broke on the last question. I was jealous," Kemi stammered, tears streaming. "You have everything, Amara. Talent, success, love. I felt left behind. It was a moment of weakness and madness. I thought if your life wasn't so perfect, maybe I wouldn't feel so miserable about mine. It was a horrible thing to do. I regret it more than anything." She sobbed, reaching for Amara's hands. "I am sorry. I am so sorry." Amara looked at Kemi's hands clutching hers. They were cold and clammy. She could feel how pitiful and human Kemi was in that moment. Not a monster, but a weak person who had made a grave mistake. Amara gently pulled her hands away and drew a long, shaky breath. "I don't know if I can ever forget what you did," she said, tears rolling down her cheeks. "You nearly destroyed me, and you did destroy our friendship." Kemi nodded through her sobs. I know. I don't deserve your forgiveness." There was a long pause. A slight evening breeze blew, ruffling the sign above Amara's shop and cooling the tears on her face. Finally, Amara spoke, voice soft and weary. "I may never be able to trust you again, Kemi, and I think it's best we go our separate ways after this." She saw Kemi flinch and wail quietly at those words. But Amara continued, "I will not carry hate in my heart. What you did was evil, but I won't let it poison me any longer. I forgive you, Kemi." Kemi looked up in disbelief. You forgive me?" she whispered. "I forgive you," Amara repeated, wiping her own tears. "Not for your sake, but for mine, so that I can be free and we can both try to heal." She managed a faint, sad smile. "I truly pray you find peace and learn from this, but we can't go back to how we were. I release you, and I release myself from this pain." Kemi's face crumpled as fresh tears flowed. "Thank you," she cried, reaching out as if to hug Amara. Amara stepped back subtly and Kemi stopped. The two women stood there, a broken friendship and a dark chapter lying between them. "Goodbye, Kemi," Amara said gently. Sobbing and hugging herself, Kemi turned and walked away slowly into the dusk. Amara watched her go, feeling a swirl of emotions. Sorrow for the friend she had lost, relief that the nightmare was truly over, and a quiet pride in herself for having the strength to forgive. As Kemi's figure disappeared down the street, Amara took a deep breath and went back inside her boutique. The familiar scent of fabric and designs greeted her, and the soft light bathing her workspace felt warm and inviting. This was her world, one built on creativity, love, and honest hard work, and she had almost lost it all, but she had prevailed. That night in her apartment, Amara lit a white candle by her window and sat on her couch, sipping a cup of hot cocoa. The soft glow of the flame danced on the walls as she reflected on all that had happened. She thought of Mama Epha, whose wisdom and courage had saved her life. She thought of Tunde's steadfast love and her family's prayers that had given her strength. And inevitably, she thought of Kemi and hoped that her childhood friend would one day find redemption. Before heading to bed, Amara whispered a prayer of thanks to God and the guiding spirits of her ancestors. She had learned a powerful lesson about life, trust, and the dangers of envy. In her mind, she heard the echo of an old saying her grandmother often used: "The evil that one plots for another will surely return to the plotter." It was as true as ever. With the curse gone and her heart at peace, Amara felt ready to move forward. She climbed into bed and pulled the sheets around her, feeling safe and protected at last. No whispers disturbed her, no shadows lurked in the corners. Only the comforting chorus of crickets outside lulled her to sleep. Amara slept peacefully, embracing the promise of a new dawn free of evil, her spirit shining bright once again. The evil necklace was destroyed, and with it the darkness that had nearly stolen her life. In its place, love and light prevailed, a reminder that even in modern times, the old forces of goodwill guard those who keep faith, and that no curse is ever greater than a courageous and pure heart. True friendship is built on trust, loyalty, and good intentions, not envy or competition. When jealousy enters a friendship, it can turn love into betrayal and destroy the bond you once cherished. Life teaches us to be careful about who we let close to our hearts, because not every smiling face wishes us well. At the same time, letting go of bitterness and choosing forgiveness, even without forgetting, frees you from carrying the weight of someone else's wrong. In friendship and in life, protect your peace, value genuine people, and remember that what you plot for others will surely return to you. Thank you for watching Stories by Ricardo. If this story touched you, made you think, or left you speechless, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. New stories drop every week, raw, real, and deeply emotional. Until next time, always remember, every struggle has a story, and every story matters.